Cherish all the time you spend, you tuned into. It's time again to cherish all the time you spend, you tuned into. It's the number one podcast. The topics of discussion when we broadcast. So all them artificial man jokes, we do it natural from the concrete to a public standpoint. Real, wherever you're from, life is coexisting, but to know the real, you just gotta listen. Wherever you're from, life is coexisting, but to know the real.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the 52 Scott Podcast. I'm your host, K Money, and in the building with me, my co-host Slash, Freddie G, and Comedian 96. Collectively, we are the Mind of Men. You can find us on X, formerly known as Twitter, at 52 Scott Podcast, Instagram and Facebook, the 52 Scott Podcast, and if you're on YouTube, don't forget to like and or subscribe. Welcome, fellas, to another True Tuesday episode. Man, today, before I get started, man, I wanted to ask you guys your personal opinion on how old do you think a child should be before they're allowed to be either left alone or just having some independence to when their parents are away.
Oh, okay. When I was young, I was 8.
And when you say you were 8, where were you? You were what? Just being left at home alone, or what?
I was left at home. My mom went to work. I would take care of my sister. My sister was 4 years younger than me, so I was 4. She was 8, and we would be home alone. 9, 5, 4, 8, 9, 5, all the way up.
So, were you able to leave the house at that age?
No.
Okay.
Here's the thing, which I think is more dangerous. We had burglar bars on the windows and on the front door. We didn't have the key to the burglar bars.
Oh, so y'all were locked in.
We were locked in.
Yeah, that now.
But if it was a fire, think about it, I'm 8 years old. So anything that lights up. But I was just not. I wasn't crazy enough to do it because I was like, I can't get out if something goes bad, right? So I never did it. Even at 8, I knew better. I said, if I do burn this thing down, we can't get out. So I can't do that. But if I was an irresponsible child at 8, it could have went the other way.
Now, I know for a fact we was staying at home, and don't get me wrong, my brother was older, than I, and my mom would leave us at home, while she go to work during the summertime, and he had to have been 10, and I probably 9, 8.5 or something like that, and we would be at home alone for 8 hours. You know what I'm saying? From in the morning when mom go to work till she get off back. 5:30, 6 o'clock in the evening.
Same thing.
And she had specific rules for us.
Don't touch shit.
Nah, it wasn't. Here's what it was. Don't open my door.
Okay.
For nobody.
Right.
Period.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That was her thing. But that was her way of telling us that was our only security. Staying in that damn house and not opening that door.
And how old were you? And your brother, if you can recall?
He was 10. I was either 8 or 9.
Okay. And how about you, Freddie G?
I think is if I had to put an age to it, I would say maybe 8, 9, 10. If I had to put an age to it, but also a parent has to base it on the maturity level.
I agree.
Of the child, right?
Yeah.
And if you're basing it on the maturity level of the child, then, I mean, your child.
And that's what I was going to say right there. The most important thing that you said is a parent, would have to base it on the maturity level of their child, and who knows their children better than the parents.
Yep, that's true.
So what sparked me to ask that question, man, a mother in Georgia was arrested because her 10-year-old son was found walking alone. And when I saw this story, man, I just thought about, when I was young and I was like Flash, I had an older brother. But even, when my brother wasn't around, it was things that I was still able to do by myself. And I think my mother felt secure enough to allow us to do these things without feeling any harm was going to be brought to us. Now, I know this is a different day and age, and times are certainly different. But for this mother to be arrested, I just feel was totally one out of line, and I thought it was extremely harsh. The video, when they showed the arrest, the police really didn't give her a legitimate explanation on why she was being arrested. in the beginning of the video. I thought that was the problem. You know, a lot of times when police, and I'm not going to say all police, but a lot of times when, you know, police approach us with a certain situation, they're very aggressive.
Yeah.
And most folks can be put on the defensive when you're coming at them a certain way because, you know, respect goes both ways.
Right.
So I feel like if a policeman is doing his job, there's a way to do it in a respectful manner, especially if there is no fight, or I think that their approach is what causes the resistance most of the time. Yeah. I feel like if they approach in a more calmly manner, then a lot of the resistance probably wouldn't happen. So this mother was arrested. So in trying to understand why she was being arrested, you know, she was also resisting in a sense, which didn't help the situation at hand.
That's probably
now, to be told that you're being arrested for allowing your son, because your son was found walking alone, I don't know how I would have reacted, you know, if had I been in that same situation.
Man, we get stopped. You know, we get stopped for the most stupidest thing, man. You know, I didn't got stopped just walking outside. The story sounds incomplete because you said she got arrested. Other than the resisting arrest, before that, your son was just walking. Was he going to the store? Was he going to get some firecrackers? What was he doing? Just because it's 10 o'clock, was it? Or what time of day? That's the key factor. What time of day was it?
It wasn't late. Yeah, I mean, it was saying midday, but
that sound like cops just.
Comedian 96. When you say we get stopped for the most stupidest thing,
blacks. I'm sorry, blacks.
But this child was white.
Yeah, I know this child was white, right? But I'm just saying we've been in a situation where we got stopped for the most stupidest things. You know, so we know how it feels when you get stopped for the most stupidest things, and this is one of them because it's daylight. I can see if it's 1 a.m. or if he was going to do something destructive. It sounds like this lady being picked with. Is it a small town? Maybe they picking at her. That would be because if it's broad daylight, the little boy's 10, he ain't doing nothing, and you gonna come pick up the mom because the little boy's out. Sounds like it's a small town, and that cop is just picking with this lady.
I'm not sure how small the town was, but small or large, I still think, you know.
Yeah.
I would be shocked and surprised if I was being arrested, you know, or told that I'm being arrested because my child is out walking. You know, that doesn't justify. That's not enough to me.
Right.
And Brittany Patterson, which is the mother that was arrested, felt the same way. You know, she couldn't understand why, you know, she was being arrested for, you know, the charge that they were accusing her of. Mm-hmm.
So
go ahead, Freddie G. No, I was just going to say how this just drew national attention, and I can see why.
So here's something that has to be broken down, right? So first of all, the child was walking to wherever he was going.
Correct.
Assuming a store or something, maybe. Right? It varies from state to state how old you have a child has to be for you to leave a child alone. This is just when you're thinking of alone, you're thinking of in the home, left at home alone, right? In this case, he was walking wherever he was going, assuming to the store. But it varies from state to state. Now, Texas, believe it or not, there is no law. But in this state he was in, which is the state of Georgia, children 8 years old and younger should not be left alone. According to the state of Georgia Department of Education. Children between the ages of 9 and 12, based on the level of maturity, may be left alone for brief periods of time, meaning less than 2 hours. And children 13 years and older who have an adequate level of maturity may be left alone and may perform the role of a babysitter as authorized by a parent for up to 12 hours. So that's the state of Georgia. So it varies from state to state if you can leave a child alone, at what age. But in this case, this child wasn't at home. He had left the home to go wherever he went.
I think from now hearing that, Freddie G, what you just said about the state of Atlanta or the state, the state of Georgia. I don't think now the police officer was picking. I think he's just doing his job at this point. Now, whether or not this was a busy street and maybe he saw harm or could have been harmful, but why he, stopped this child. And obviously he had to say, where's your mama? Where's your parents? You know what I'm saying?
But think about how many 10-year-olds. I could see if it was 4, 5, 6, maybe even 7. But how many 10-year-olds actually in broad daylight, not 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning? That's the part I don't get.
Freddie G,
I don't understand.
To add to what you mentioned in regards to those numbers, according to the American Academic of Pediatrics, American Academic of Pediatrics, children are typically ready to walk alone safely without an adult supervision at age 10. So I feel, again, this child wasn't doing anything wrong and the mother didn't do anything wrong in regards to neglect. Now, she was actually charged, excuse me, with, oh my goodness, reckless conduct. And again, I feel like had the police approached her more calmly, then this wouldn't even be an issue. But to be told something like that, which sounds crazy, you can just imagine the your reaction. I'm sorry, from being told something crazy like this. And this woman, this wasn't her only child. She was actually taking care of another child, which is why this young man was by himself. So again, he was walking no more than 1.5 miles to wherever he was walking to. And again, when I was a young man, around this age, if not younger, like I said, around 8 years old, which I feel is safe, and that's because I've experienced it and lived it. I've walked to school, which I'm not sure of the distance, but it was, I'm gonna say, approximately about 1 mile to 1.5 miles, if that. To and from school every day for a couple of years when I was in elementary, and nothing happened. So I understand. I think Comedian 96, you mentioned whether it was a large or a small town, which may have factored in and made a difference, and I really don't understand why that would have factored in.
Because I've lived in a small town, man. When I say everybody knows,
exactly, everybody knows everybody. So
it could be possible that that particular cop just hated that lady. I can't stand that lady. Boy, I'm gonna get her because the story just. You stop a 10-year-old boy, you go pick up the parent because the 10-year-old boy was out walking. In daylight. Not doing nothing, not destroying nothing, just walking.
So here's the thing, though. The cop, it appears that the cop was operating within the law. So number one, it appears that he was operating within the law in regards to charging the woman with reckless conduct. If you don't like the law, for the people in Georgia, if you don't like the law, get your ass out and vote. Now, with that being said, look at it this way. You're at the cop's mercy. So this may be comparing apples to oranges, but look at it this way. The little light bulb on your license plates on your car and that little light bulb that's in the back. Mm-hmm. Now, if that light bulb is out, then the cop can pull you over and cite you a ticket.
Yeah.
Facts.
Now think about all of the cars on the road, right? How many of those light bulbs are out? Now the cop that gets behind you, you're at his mercy or her mercy of whether or not they feel like enforcing, keyword enforcing, that law. Sometimes that cop may enforce that law, and sometimes he or she may not. So in this case, dealing with this child, it seems as if the cop was operating within the law of the recklessness, right? Yes. Charged with recklessness. He or she was operating within the law. It just so happened that they just chose to enforce it that day. They just chose to enforce it that day.
it's saying that the crime was actually that she didn't know where her child was, and that he actually left the house without her knowledge. That's
So here's the thing, then. Here's a good argument. You heard me mention earlier where I read in the state of Georgia that you could be at least 9 years old.
right.
Alone. At home. Now, if I'm taking my child, which was the daughter, what, she was taking her to the doctor or something,
Yeah,
K-Money?
the daughter was being taken somewhere where they were taking care of some personal business.
Okay, so the mom had to take the daughter somewhere. The child was old enough, according to Georgia law, to be at home. So the mom was operating well within her rights or well within the law to be able to leave a child alone at that age based on his maturity level, according to the Georgia law. Based on his maturity level. So she felt that he was mature enough to be at home alone, and I'm assuming that wasn't the first time she left mom alone. Now, what he does after she leaves the home, then she wouldn't know, because dad, hey, where's your child at? Oh, he's at home.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But see, that's the thing, Freddie G. When the police came to arrest her, they just pretty much came and said, "Put your hands behind your back." Well, again, not letting her know what the reason she was being arrested for.
No explanation.
And then they also said to tell your kids goodbye. So I feel the aggression. Well, that's why I'm speaking on. I was speaking on earlier. If the police approach with less aggression, I'm not trying to tell them how to do it, but I just feel like a lot of the resistance that they get is because of how they're approaching the assailant.
Here's how she gets
or
out.
Suspect.
If I was her attorney, and if it went down exactly like you said, of course, this is secondhand knowledge for us.
Correct.
If it went down exactly like you said, here's how her attorney gets her out of that. If the police did that, here's what they failed to do. You have the right to remain silent.
Miranda rights.
Anything you say can and will be used against you.
Now, it is on police body cam. Now, whether or not the Miranda rights were read or not, it didn't say that. But again, I just feel the aggression. It could have been less aggression.
So that's the point I'm trying to make. With that aggression in mind, it makes me think now I would want to know the history of that lady and how many
police officer,
her personal incidents, and just incidents in the town that maybe she's the problem and the kid was just something to get to her.
And
say,
maybe the police officer know the mom. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying.
That part we don't know.
It sounds like it's personal now.
It's something else involved rather than just the story that we get.
Yeah, because we didn't walk down the street 8, 9, 10 years old, and no one has came to pick up. As black as we are, no one has came to pick up
the
our
house. You know, when we were told not to leave several times.
Yeah,
and it wasn't a crime, and that's what makes this crazy is because they're making it out of a crime. And yes, leaving the house, we were told, you know, what could happen if we left. But you know, kids are mischievous, right. and I don't see anything different out of this situation right here. Where the young man left, he wasn't given permission to leave, but he did it on his own. And I'm sure once mom found out, you know, she would have handled it accordingly as a parent should. She wasn't allowed to do that though, and this is where I feel, you know, it was a bit extreme for her to have suffered or had to deal with some type of traumatic experience just because of what someone else thought or felt. And I understand what you're saying, Freddie G. The policeman or police person was doing their job, but is that going above and beyond? Or, I mean,
Well, I would say this, man. So, is it going above and beyond? As a police officer, if you're enforcing the law, keyword, the law, whether it's big or small, if you're going above and beyond, that means you're overachieving in doing your job.
Right, but why not just give a fucking warning?
Well, I get it. but that means that you're going above and beyond to do your job. Is it petty? I think that it's petty.
Great word.
I think that it's petty. Why that officer did it, of course, we won't know. But if that's the law,
now
they did the job. They did what they were supposed to do.
I wonder what the outcome would have been had it been a black mother and a black child.
Well, you know that
could be every day.
Yeah,
that would be every day. Police would be busy.
Right.
That could be every day. It's not often.
So yeah, it may have just been the neighborhood they was in. You know, suburbs. We don't know. You know what I mean?
That kind of goes back to kind of what Comedian 96 was saying, you know, with it being possibly a big neighborhood or a small town.
Small town.
You know, when the police found the young man, they had to get a warrant, and the warrant willingly, the warrant claims that she willingly and knowingly endangered her juvenile son's bodily safety.
Now, you know what? I can say I agree with that statement.
But she didn't know that he left the house.
Now, willingly and knowingly, that debunks that if she didn't know he left.
Right.
But bodily safety, were there any sidewalks on the road that they picked him up on?
Yeah, where was
so
he?
if he was walking in the streets.
What was the traffic like?
Now safety plays a part. If he was walking in the street, if he was from a small town, and there were no sidewalks.
But again, if she had no knowledge, how could they prove that she willingly and knowingly knew this, that he had left? You understand what I'm saying? So I agree with what you mentioned earlier in regards to how she should fight it if you were her lawyer, Freddie G. You know, you about to say something, Slash?
No. It just sounds a little fishy, you know, to me. I agree with him doing the law. And like I say, it depends on the traffic in the area where it was, because maybe the officer saw something that could have been harmful to that child, which is probably why he pulled over and stopped or something. You know, we don't know all of it.
Right.
I think he did his job the way he should, but I think they may be coming down too heavy on the parent, you know, especially if she didn't know. And maybe this is just a slap on the wrist for her.
Well, Georgia's Division of Family and Children's Services proposed a safety plan to where Patterson declined the sign, but this included installing a GPS tracker app on the son's phone. I really don't understand why she refused to sign it, because I don't see anything wrong with that. You know, that's just an added safety measure in my opinion. You know, especially if they were going to drop the charges. But you know, I guess just to make this issue a bigger, more than what it is, and probably try to get some attention, I'm thinking is why she probably chooses not to sign it. I don't know, but in my opinion, man, I don't feel like she did anything wrong. I myself probably would have done something similar, if not the same thing. You know, having more than one child, you don't always want to tag all the kids along with you when you got business to take care of. So I totally understand leaving. You know, if you feel that they're old enough and capable enough of staying at home, you know, of leaving, you know, them at the house. Y'all get back with us later on and let us know how y'all feel. Peace out. This concludes another True Tuesday episode, and be sure you tune in tomorrow for another episode of Women Wednesday with Freddie G. Don't forget to follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, at 52 Sky Podcast, Instagram and Facebook, the 52 Sky Podcast, and if you're on YouTube, don't forget to like and or subscribe. And to all my 52 Sky faithfuls, it may be new to you, but if you heard it here, then you know it's true.